Welcome back to Coffeehouse Convos episode 2, my new weekly show where I talk about automotive news, events, and my opinions. Today's episode we're starting with the newly announced Scout. You might have heard that the Scout name is coming back and it's being made by Volkswagen. So before we get into that whole situation, the original Scout, if you might know, was made by International Harvester. So it was the International Harvester Scout. International Harvester was an American manufacturer that made farming equipment like tractors, combines, stuff like that, but also SUVs and trucks. Those vehicles were off-road inspired and capable, short wheelbase, boxy, truck-like, very similar to the classic Broncos and the Blazer. And it was made, the Scout in particular was made between 1960 and 1980. So it's always exciting to see that a classic vehicle like the Scout is being brought back today. But it's interesting that it's being built by Volkswagen. So let's talk a little bit about that. So even though it is being built by Volkswagen, the VW Group is actually building a Scout-specific $2 billion manufacturing facility in Columbia, South Carolina. So it is going to be American made. So even though it will be American manufactured, American made, it is developed in Austria. And think what you want, but this could be a good thing. Everyone understands that German engineering is something to be desired, and hopefully this new truck is one that will last generations. But before you get too excited, the new Scout will be, you guessed it, all electric. It will be an EV. Something tells me that they're gonna try to keep the Scout more of like a Jeep Wrangler, Ford Bronco price range, because that's what I think it will be directly competing with. Something to be excited about though about this new Scout platform is that the electric platform for the Scout is going to be completely unique. So they're designing it to be off-road oriented. And at this South Carolina manufacturing plant that they're building, they're going to be developing the Scout SUV and a Scout truck. And there may be other vehicles in the future, but they're starting with the SUV and a truck. And from the renders I've seen and from what I've heard about who they're competing with, the Scout is going to be probably very similar to the new Bronco. They're going to base it off the classic. They're going to make it look modern, but with those classic touches. It's going to be boxy. It's going to be a short wheelbase. I'm sure the front will be flat like the Bronco, and I'm sure the grille will look very similar to the classic Scout. If you watched the last Coffeehouse Convo, I talked about Bronco and Wrangler and how I think Chevy, what I think Chevy should have done with the Chevy Blazer and what they did instead. So here comes Scout swooping in, directly competing with the Bronco and the Wrangler. And something tells me that since this other company is coming out with more of a rugged off-road vehicle, that Chevy should be making an announcement in the next year. I think they're missing out on this segment of vehicles. You have the GM Hummer, you have the Ford Bronco, the Jeep Wrangler, now the Scout, and I think Chevy is missing out on this because they had the Blazer back in the past and they could have brought that back with a really cool design, and Chevy knows how to make vehicles that are relatively affordable. So let me know down in the comments what you think about the announcement of the new International Scout. Well, I guess not International, the new Volkswagen Scout. I don't know if they will use the Volkswagen name. I think it's just going to be called the Scout. I don't think there will be any Volkswagen badges on it. It's going to be similar to like how Audi is owned by Volkswagen, etc. So I think the Scout is like its own brand. It won't have any other emblems. It will just be Scout emblem. And the Scout emblem looks very similar to the classic one. So I think it's cool that they're keeping that look. I think it's interesting that Volkswagen decided to pick this up because the Scout was an American company. But you know, Volkswagen, they own majority of the cars you see on the road. Mercedes, Volkswagen, Audi, Volkswagen obviously, Mercedes, Audi, you know, even the more expensive cars like Bentley, Lamborghini, all those kinds of cars, it's Volkswagen. I guess I could see that Volkswagen is taking on Scout to be their off-road division, something like that. I think it's pretty exciting. It's going to be interesting to see a new vehicle on the road. It's a little bit of a bummer that it's going to be only EV, only electric. It would have been cool if they could put a hybrid system in it, because like I talked about in the last episode, I don't think it's a good idea to be jumping straight into this EV game, because it seems like a big jump. We don't really have the infrastructure set up yet. It's close, but not really yet. It's gonna take a risky person to wanna, you know, take an EV on an off-road trail, because what if you run out of electricity? I mean, like with a internal combustion engine, you just bring an extra gas tank. If you run out, then you have a safety net. It's a little bit different with an EV. I mean, you can bring a bunch of solar panels and plug it in that way, but I don't know if that's really gonna work. But the new Scout, they're gonna shoot for like around the 300 mile range. So we'll see what happens. The release is gonna be more in like 2025, 2026. And they haven't really even released an official image of what it's going to look like. They've done some teasers, and like I said before, it's going to look like the Bronco. It's going to be competing directly with the Bronco. In the first episode, I talked about the Overland Expo Mountain West event that's coming to Loveland, Colorado, about an hour away from me. August 17th to 19th, I think it is. I'll definitely be going to that, making videos about it, so subscribe so you don't miss that. But something else that I wanted to mention about the Overland Expo 2024 is they also do an Overland Expo Film Festival. So every year they invite content creators, amateur and professional filmmakers to submit overlanding inspired off-road camping movies, basically films, and they submit the films, and then at the Overland Expo event there's a kind of like a watch party, and then there's winners announced. I think that's really cool. Maybe one day I'll try to do something like that, but I don't think that the film festival is at the Mountain West Overland Expo event. Here on the website it shows the film festival dates for Overland Expo West, which is in Flagstaff, Arizona, and that's March 14th, 2024. Overland Expo Pacific Northwest, which is in Redmond, Oregon, on May 2nd. And then Overland Expo East in Arlington, Virginia, on August 2nd. So I don't think they will be coming to Mountain West in Loveland, which is a little bit of an unfortunate thing, because whenever I saw it, I thought it was at all of them, but I guess not. Either way, on the overlandexpo.com website, you can see past films that have won, kind of a general selection of films from past seasons that you can check out on the website. I think that's really cool that they're doing that, because the filmmaking crowd and the overlanding camping crowd oftentimes go hand in hand. So I recently did a build update video for my Jeep Wrangler TJ. If you missed it, check it out. It's basically just a video where I go through every mod I've ever done to the Jeep. One mod that I did miss in the video was my rear tail lights. They're from Savvy Off-Road. They don't make them anymore, but pretty sure I got everything else. If you check it out and you see something that I didn't mention, make sure you let me know in the comments so I can explain. But I also want your opinion on build ideas. I've been thinking about several different things. I love the classic OEM Plus look that I have with the Jeep right now. I just recently added the hardtop and the roof rack. Those are two really big mods that I've done that really changed the look of the Jeep. But let me know what you think, what would be cool. I've always thought that in like a Baja desert racer type of build would be really cool, but that would also require really expensive things like upgraded springs and shocks, as well as probably different wheels and tires and different things like that. I could also just do more of a visual build, so make it just look like something like that, which means Probably still different wheels and tires, but more like decals and lights and things like that, which I still think would be really cool. Another build idea is more of like a camel trophy look, which I kind of have with the roof rack and the lights, and I really like that look. The camel trophy trucks are extremely cool. If you don't know what they are, definitely look it up, because those are probably the coolest rigs I've ever seen. And interestingly enough, the very first camel trophy expedition was done by Jeeps, and now it's all Land Rovers. So that's a really interesting thing, that originally it was done by Jeeps. I've designed a sticker that is based off of the camel trophy like plaque or design that I'm going to design a few stickers and then ordering them to just give out. I will probably be posting the final sticker designs on my Sean's Coffee House Instagram. So make sure to follow Sean's Coffee House. That's where I post extra content, basically more daily content, like what I'm doing, or I'll just post stories that I think are really interesting. It's kind of a virtual coffee house space for cool automotive photos, as well as coffee inspired posts. So check that out. I'll leave all the links in the description. Stay tuned for this weekend, because I'm posting videos on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, 3 days in a row, for the trip that I did to Utah. So that'll be really exciting. After I finish editing this, I'm gonna start editing those. So stay tuned for that. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.